What's going on, everybody? We are back. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. I was actually sick for a little bit, still getting over a little bit of a cough, but great to see everybody. We got David, we've got C. Will, of course, and we've got all you in the audience. So anybody listening, drop a hello in the chat, and let's get started. What are you guys seeing out there?
What's good, y'all? What's good?
Yeah, a lot of stuff's going on. Algorand almost hit $1 in the wee hours of the morning, so kind of hit. I think it's like highest I saw was close to $1. Fell back down a little bit. So seeing some. I don't know. You remember that tweet I put out where I said we're not in a bear market and the bull market is still going to rip. I don't know. We'll see. Right. Obviously, do what?
I think you're right because I'm feeling the bulls coming back. When I follow Bitcoin hitting that 48K.
Yeah. It is interesting to look at, but at the same time, I've read, it's so up in the air right now. I just feel like it could literally go either way. We could get hammered off of one area of resistance, and I think we could easily see algo back to 67 cents, hitting that support, or maybe not 67 immediately, but somewhere in the 80-cent range or something like that. Yeah, but it's. I actually sold my position that I longed at 71 cents I think it was like 70 cents, but I actually sold that at like 93, 94. So I'm not leveraged at the moment. I'm waiting to see kind of what happens, but still have a good stack of algo ready to put in governance. I'm actually interested to see, how AlgoFi really works. I don't really know what you guys are planning to do, but we could talk about that a little bit too.
Yes. Which one you want to talk first? You want to hit AlgoFi governance?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. What do you guys think about it?
Well, I'm ready for that as well. I have, like I said, I'm already pretty leveraged out, and I took some loans out and bought some Lofty. I saw JT was like, oh, that's a great idea. So I went in there and got in on that property that got 17% APR return on cash and 9% cash on cash. So that's what I did. But in terms of governance, I'm putting another bag together, and I do want to use AlgoFi to collateralize. And I'm excited for it, and I think it will help the whole total value lock of the ecosystems. I feel like half of us are going to use this system.
Oh yeah, for sure. I will say this just to make sure: don't move your algos if you're still in governance too. That second period, don't move them till after midnight tonight, April 1st, guys. Just make sure, because you don't want to forfeit those rewards, right there at the last, leg of the race. So make sure you don't do that. But yeah, as far as me, I got AlgoFi pulled up over here. So far, 6.04 million are vaulted, already ready for governance.
Really?
Right now it shows the APY super high, but obviously that's gonna come down. And I'll be interested to see how quick the governance portal updates the total volume locked and the governors and all that with AlgoFi being used. So I'll be interested to see how those two kind of sync up and link up together.
So I got a question
higher than mine.
Have y'all?
You know what? I'm gonna kill this music. Sorry, anybody that's still listening to the music. I'm sure it's kind of annoying, but yeah, continue with what you're saying.
No, I was just saying, or you can go ahead, see, Will.
No, I was just like, you pull it up, but thank you. I didn't see you did. When do y'all want to do a walkthrough of how this will potentially work? I haven't used it yet.
I haven't used it yet either, but I'd imagine you just, click this add button, you commit your certain amount, and then...
I'm pretty sure you do have to have them in your wallet. So like when I went on there and was playing around with it, it only showed me the amount the amount I could actually add to my vault was the amount in my wallet, not what's already supplied on the AlgoFi page. So if you have your algos supplied, you would actually need to withdraw those back to your wallet, and then you'd be able to vault them. And then I'm guessing, obviously, you'll be able to see the, what the percentages and stuff like that would look like. But then I'm guessing that's where after it's done, or I guess after the period's done, that's when you'd be able to borrow against your supplied, is what I'm assuming.
I'm pretty sure you'd be able to borrow against it right away, because it should just, from what I heard, it should just add to your total amount. Like when you go to the main page, it should just show up like on the amount that you can borrow on the main page. So your total utilization will go down once you add the governance algos. At least that's the way it was explained to me. I mean, I could try it right now, to be honest.
I'm hyped because I love borrowing stable. I love stable now. It's my favorite stable coin.
I'm gonna withdraw 1,000 algo out of my supply.
AlgoFi governance, the committed algo can get liquidated, right? Always, anytime you extend yourself or go long on something like that, and you're borrowing, there's always the chance of liquidation. That's why I always would say, keep your, the amount you borrow low, especially if you're borrowing algo maybe on a bull run where it's really running high. Like sometimes that's the worst time to leverage yourself, because then you really stand a chance if the market pulls back of getting liquidated. I think right now we're in a spot that could be fairly a safe area, and that's why I feel confident, doing some longs and some leveraged positions. But just imagine if something crazy in the market happens, algo flash crashes to 50 cents, that right now is almost a 50% drop. So if you're leveraged high, and then, that can put a really sour taste in your mouth, so always be careful with stuff like that.
Because like we said last time, I think we met up and had a video. I got liquidated in the last, drop in price. So I would definitely recommend, if you are going to do a leverage, do it after, or borrow against or go long when we're already at a bottom.
Or at areas of support, 67 cents, like that area, that's a solid area of support, I think, for a long position on Algorand. Obviously not financial advice, but that's what I did. I longed it right around there. And then obviously you sell at resistance. Like you don't have to hold those positions forever. Now, obviously, if you're doing it in governance, that is something you also want to take into consideration, because, I would assume as the price of algo could go down during governance, not only could you forfeit algos you have, but then you're also possibly forfeiting your rewards if for some reason you fall below your threshold. So that's another whole thing that could really, turn people off maybe to using this if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and the good thing to that too, though, is anybody that's just dollar cost averaging out there, you can continue to add your algo as collateral to continue to lower your borrow utilization and reduce that risk of being liquidated. So you can continue to add to that pot. So it's not like once you put it in there, that's all you have, and you have to worry about it being liquidated. You can continue to add to it to reduce your risk. But I just withdrew 1,000 algo just to test this out. So it seems really simple. You just slide this over to however much you want. I'm going to do 100% of the algo in my wallet. I'm going to do exactly 1,000 just so I still have something to play around with. I'm going to hit supply. Let's see. Maybe. There we go.
Try to double sign.
Yeah, it is trying to double sign, and my mouse is dying too. That's one of the issues. Close this out. I'm going to close this out so you guys don't see my password. And we'll see how easy this is. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a really brilliant idea. How much algo do you guys think will be used, whether in AlgoFi or Guard or Folks Finance, for this next governance period, do you think?
I was about to ask, is Guard's website fully up and going as well?
It is, and it'll be ready for the governance period, at least before the window closes.
And Folks Finance is going to be up and ready and going by this time as well.
I guess I needed to use like one less algo because the transaction didn't go through.
I think it did. You should refresh, because sometimes things we do.
Oh, you know what? It did. It did. You're absolutely right. You're right. Sometimes it's a node too. I don't know if anyone that's ever having issues with AlgoFi, but you can always click up here and click on this little settings thing and change the node that you're working on. And sometimes you can get better results as well that way. But that being said, yeah, I've got 1K Algorand in the vault here. And so, you click on add to add your Algorand. You click over to govern right here. And then it looks like...
That's where you'll be able to vote once they have something.
Yeah, exactly. Once, I don't know what this is. Oh, available. Okay, this is what I have to commit. So you have to
upload it and supply it, and then you commit it.
Yeah, you add the Algorand to the vault, and then it looks like you have to commit the Algorand again. So like,
now I wonder if the algo you're committing to the vault is getting those extra, the Aeneas rewards or whatever. Do we know that?
That's a good question.
I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure they said they're having a space coming up soon. I wonder if that'll be something that's mentioned.
Yeah, I would think so. If it's going to the collateral pool, it should also give you more algo.
Awesome. Successfully committed my algo. And then you can click here to vote, but of course no votes started yet. And you can click here to claim the rewards, but no rewards.
This honestly makes governance easier.
Oh, it's amazing. And then you can click over here to remove, and just remove whatever you want to remove.
So, and here's one thing. Obviously, we have, you know, if Folks Finance gets going, you got AlgoFi, you got AlgoGuard, you have all these different things now. And here's one question I guess I have, or one, you know, thing that comes in my mind also, especially with you're seeing all these bridges being hacked and, you know, stuff being stolen, all these things that are out there. I mean, we saw some rug pulls in the ecosystem. I'm not obviously saying this is right. I'm not saying this is a rug, but what are your all's thoughts with, you know, say this whole, you know, this just explodes the DeFi locked on Algorand, starts to bring in those bad actors, the people who want to look to exploit something like this, and you know, we see something bad happen to one of these things that are opening up this. I mean, what is your all's thoughts there? Are you guys nervous? Are you kind of, you know, going all in on it this first time, or are you going to kind of just tip your toes in the water and still do governance kind of the same you did before, but then just try a little bit here? What is your all's thoughts there?
I'm more committed. I'm going, if I do now moving forward with governance, I'm going AlgoFi. I trust the platform, and I feel like that if a giant hack or something did happen, I think Algorand Foundation, Borderless Capital, Y Combinator, all those investors would have our back, like how actually Affinity investors had their back with the big hack. They're going to be doing some paying back people and helping out. So I feel like there's enough money out there with $100 million or less that they could definitely cover if something crazy happen. My opinion.
JT, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you always got to be concerned in anything DeFi, or really anywhere you're putting your money, because it's not only DeFi. Of course, DeFi is new, but even, you know, businesses get hacked all the time, even outside of the Web3 space. So, of course, that's possible, and you want to put more risk. I mean, you know, remove as much risk as possible when you're working with your money, which is part of the reason why I advise for everyone to use all of the avenues possible to unlock their governance if they plan to, instead of just going all in on AlgoGuard or AlgoFi or Folks Finance. You know, maybe spread it out 33% amongst all three of them, just in case. You know, if one of them does get exploited, you still have your stash split amongst two other ones that haven't been exploited yet. Because you know, the likelihood they're all exploited at the same time is super rare, especially because they all write different smart contracts. So I mean, that would be really, really, really crazy if they were all exploited at the same time. So I think if you are trying to unlock your governance, which I plan on doing, and I also plan on using all three of the platforms, and honestly, any other platform that offers a similar service, if Humble decides to add a similar service, then hell yeah, I'll certainly do that as well. So I think it's good to spread risk around, especially in DeFi, for sure.
Yeah. Now, can we talk about a rug now, since that kind of got brought up?
I got rug.
So
why?
Hold on. Before we move on, I do just want to answer this one question. Somebody just said, when AlgoFi audit? And somewhere on my Twitter, I recently just posted it. I don't know why they haven't spoken about it yet, but I did find a link to their most recent audit for their vaults. I don't know if it came out like yesterday, the day before, but they just haven't mentioned it yet. I don't know when they're planning on mentioning it or broadcasting it, but it is out there somewhere. I'll try to find it and share it again to my feed. But yeah, continue. We're talking about Antirand rug pulls now.
Yeah, so this is, Antirand was a DeFi, so-called DeFi gaming platform, right? They had beautiful artwork, a lot of marketing, very short time, and then the red flag comes, token sale, going to the moon. A lot of people lost money, I think up to like $500,000 or 500,000 algo, and I know David did as well. I know he can speak. But
I lost a little bit.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is this things keeps happening, and this is why visibility, community support, a launchpad, communication, all of those things is very important when we invest in as venture capitalists again in this space of crypto.
Right. Yeah, and especially as, I mean, someone even said it, as Algorand continues to grow, like everybody wants it to grow. Well, that also means that things like this are going to become more prevalent, and they're going to get smarter. Like I saw red flags with this one. I'm not going to lie. Like I saw them in the back of my head. I got greedy. I was literally up a decent amount. I should have sold, should have took my profits. But, I will say this, with how, I guess, sophisticated this one looked, as far as just from some of the people in the community who were backing it, who I thought, okay, they're smart people. Did I do tons of due diligence and really study everything I could have? No, definitely not. But, I just feel like I thought if anything, this one was going to have an effect of like, if it fails, it's going to fail. And then like people are just going to start taking out of it and then it's just going to disappear. I definitely did not think it was going to rug, but all right. But here's the crazy thing. Y'all are going to laugh when you hear me say this. That morning, like I'm just kind of on Twitter, checking everything out. I'm looking at other things, and they were planning to do a live like reveal in their Discord. So I was like, I'll check into that and see what it looks like, see what the gameplay or whatever they were going to show looks like. Like right before I go to get into that though, I'm like looking at all the charts. I'm looking at Opulus, looking at Anarand, looking at Yieldly and a few other ones. As I'm looking at Anarand, I kid you not, mentally, I envision like, man, what would it look like if just a big red candle just goes and just everything's gone? And then literally not even 5 seconds later, I click over to the thing. I jump in it. Boom, everything's gone. I was like, that's weird. And so then I go over to check Twitter. I was like, oh, dang. And then right when I get back over to Tiny Chart, I was like,
wow.
No. And the crazy thing is because it was so much. That was one of the things I think that why a lot of people put their guard down, because its market cap was moving up. It had so much money already put into it. I was not a part of the pre-sale. I didn't really see. I don't think I'd heard about it until after.
Check this out. From my understanding, this is the flag right here. When a team puts 90% of the liquidity on, right, we see a big green candle. I was researching. You put a lot of the most of the money down, and what that does is signals to other investors, oh shit, we're about to have a moon. We got a moon coming.
Right.
Which means then all of us retail investors put the rest of the money in, and then that bag gets bigger and bigger. And then when they pull out, they essentially sold everyone tokens out of their original bag and swapped out for algos. So what people did was just trade their algos for a useless token, and therefore allow in that original team to pull out their liquidity, which flatlines the charts. And that's what people got to understand. What's the vesting schedule of the token? The utility, number one, I would say, and did the team show their face at least one time, a representative, something?
Yeah, and that's also another part. I mean, I know that there's a lot of the community that says like not everybody should be doxxed. Like they shouldn't if they don't want to. There should be that ability to do that. But that is one of the red flags that I saw. That like I said, I wasn't expecting a rug. I was definitely expecting a crash to come eventually, which is why I just got too greedy and that's why I lost, what I lost. But, I think that's just something you have to take into consideration. Even one of the commenters says, seems Anarand was caught. I don't know if they were caught. Obviously the algo I put in was algo I was, wasn't going to kill me if I lost it. So I'm not really pursuing any avenues of getting reimbursed. But I will say this too. It is cool to see how the ecosystem, that whole gaming section of Algorand's ecosystem kind of stepped up to try to help some of those affected. I don't know how much. Yeah, I don't know how much that does affect or help people, but that is something cool to see, that even though there's maybe there are bad actors, the Algorand community can still come together and try and help those that were affected.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think people were kind of taken in with the fact that they were able to really climb up the charts in terms of liquidity. They ended up the top liquidity ASA on Tinyman at least. But a really important metric that I think maybe Tiny Charts could integrate or somebody else could integrate is showing who is providing liquidity. Like how many wallets, how decentralized is that liquidity itself? Because as C. Will mentioned, I mean, that is a huge problem with liquidity pools in and of themselves. If only one or two people are providing nearly all the liquidity, then one or two people could rug pull you whether they're trying to or not. It could just be a whale. It could just be a whale that decided to pull their money, and they ended up with like 70% of the pool, and now there's no liquidity left, and essentially a rug pull. So I mean, a really great thing or metric that we could utilize or use in the future would be seeing how spread out that liquidity is. Because if you had a project that, of course, DeFi example, when they launched, they had 100% of the liquidity because they started their pool. But at this point, it's been able to spread around so much. I don't know exactly how much, but you need to start incentivizing people to start providing liquidity, and doing LP farming and things like that. Incentivize it so that way, if DeFi does want to take back some of their liquidity, there are so many other liquidity providers at that point that it won't won't create a rug, and that is one of the biggest problems. And I do think the Anarand people, they were like 99% of the liquidity. At least that's the way it looked like. Because right after the rug pull, the liquidity was like $1,000 or something like that. It was like
wasn't
nothing.
a lot. I mean, and that's mainly because I don't really think many people who even got in on the pre-sale had any tokens. I think they were still waiting for like the 4th of April. So, and that's honestly where I thought the rug would happen closer to that, the crash would happen closer to that or whatever. But obviously, they had a good plan. They got it. And obviously I hope they get caught. I hope bad will comes to them because,
it was well executed.
Like and even some of the people in the comments saying it is sad. And that's why, as a small investor, as someone who's, you're following these whales or these bigger people who are making these buys, just realize that if they're making these buys, they may be using money that like most people are, that they don't care to lose. Whereas like if you're playing with money that like you really have to be, risk adverse and you want to be smart with it. I've told many people when they tell me, what should I do with my algos? And I'm like, if you're someone who's not going to follow the space like very closely and really watch, governance. That is the safest, most secure way. And if you don't want to go in AlgoFi and risk with the smart contracts, keep them in your wallet, lock them up in governance. Go to, don't worry about it until the year 2030. And you're going to be super, super excited about your decision. Now, if you chase all these things, all these ASAs, really, you have no idea. I mean, just think of this. We could still see some of the big ASAs in the Algorand ecosystem go away. Even some of the, ones that we like and we use on a daily basis, whether it's Yieldly, Opulus, Planets, there's tons of them. We don't know what's going to make it 5 years down the road. So that's where you have to be smart with your own money when you're investing.
Facts. Like, always do your research and slow down.
Someone mentioned in the comments Para Wallet. I think that's a cool topic we could just touch on for a second. Yeah. If they're using your Para Wallet for governance and now I want to use AlgoFi for governance, how would that work if I use my Algo wallet?
It's the same wallet. It's just a different portal to get to your wallet. One is for laptops, desktops, and the other is the same account, but it is for your mobile phone.
Yeah, you can just connect your... Go ahead.
You can use the same wallet for any of them. It can be the same wallet. You can go interchange back and forth between my Algo and Para Wallet, but I do believe you can log in through your Para Wallet through AlgoFi now. I'm not entirely sure because I don't use it, but I'm pretty sure you can.
So somebody says Apple has zero utility right now.
Hold on, before we get off Para, I do want to mention this because I did see yesterday there was a lot of people talking about the ability to buy Algo, so an on-ramp with using MoonPay to be able to buy instead of Coinbase. So I wanted to go ahead, try it out to see if it worked for U.S. investors because every other time I tried MoonPay, I wasn't able to do it. I was able to do it.
It works for like everybody except like New York State and like one other state. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How much was the fees?
That's what I was about to get into. So one, you do have to do KYC. That is something to consider. Just like I think Coinbase does that as well. I don't see why they wouldn't. But when I compared the fees on $100 of Algo is what I would have done. Or I actually bought it on Para, and then I went over to Coinbase to see what the fee would actually be like. And the fee was actually slightly higher on MoonPay with Para Wallet. Now it wasn't a lot. I think it was like $3 and maybe 10 cents or 15 cents was the fee on Para, and the fee on Coinbase was going to be $2.99. So, and that could be just because of how big Coinbase is. Maybe they're able to shed those fees. And if you're using Coinbase Pro, I think the fees are even cheaper. So just something to consider. But I do like the ability now that if I want to buy Algo and I don't want to use Coinbase and have it on that exchange, and I just want it to go straight to my wallet, I can use Para because that's all. It took maybe 5 minutes for everything to be. Obviously, I was setting up my account, so now it would actually be even faster for me just to go buy Algo. It's immediately in my wallet, and then I can use it. And that's the cool thing because normally, if I want to buy it on Coinbase, I've got to wait 5 days. I put my money on Coinbase. It's got to sit there for 5 days for the ACH to settle, and then I can move it from Coinbase to my wallet. Whereas with Para, buy it, it's in my Para wallet, and if I want to send it to AlgoFi or Yieldly or whatever I want to do with it, it's available. So that is I think that could make it worth doing that over using over something like Coinbase.
Yeah, just to have the more instant access to it. I'd imagine that's probably why there's a slightly higher fee, just to make up for that. Because Coinbase, I mean, their reasoning behind it is just because the bank itself doesn't send them the money.
Yeah.
So you could, in theory, go and like try to cancel that transaction or argue that it wasn't you after you already got the crypto. And I'm sure that's already happened to them plenty of times. And I'm sure the extra fee on MoonPay makes up for the couple times it happens to them.
Yeah. I will say as well, the amount, and I don't know if this changes over time, but the amount that I could buy using ParaWallet was also lower than the amount I can buy using Coinbase. So if I wanted to buy a larger amount, I can actually do more on Coinbase than Para. So just some things to note there with that update. As we're seeing, I like the rebranding so far, the ParaWallet. It definitely has me more intrigued on using it in the future, but I still right now use my Algo wallet.
Yeah, same, just for convenience, because I primarily use the apps, like all these dApps on my laptop. But I could see it actually being a really great wallet in the future when they start integrating the 3D NFT displays and whatnot. I'm not too big into NFTs, but I know it's very huge in the crypto community. And if Algorand can be the spot for NFTs and really make a splash and make it known that we are the spot to go to for your NFTs. We're carbon neutral. Carbon negative. Really, all the NFTs are carbon negative. We have wallets that display them with 3D displays. I think it'll be a great thing for the ecosystem itself. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely NFT support is going to change the game. Like you said, ParaWallet NFT support, Dex integration. The Dex integration is what I'm wanting sooner than later, because a lot of blockchains I see they do have it all in one package where you can just have one wallet, or one app, and do everything you need to do.
Yeah.
And I think for mobile users, that is what we need.
Yep. Hey, DeFi is already getting there. They're already integrated with TinyMan and AlgoFi. The next ones coming up are Pact and HumbleSwap, and then I believe they're going to start adding all the other features from the apps as well as they can add them. So it'll be good to have multiple outlets to be able to do that. I think even Tiny Charts is starting to try to add a Dex aggregator onto their website as well. So
I feel like Tiny Charts is going to be a very successful project long term for the Algorand ecosystem.
Yeah, at least for them. I mean, I'm still not convinced on their token, but they have a great model, at least for their business revenue. I mean, they're just the ad space alone they're able to sell. I load up Tiny Charts every day, so like I see all the ads that they're able to get. I'm sure they're getting a nice little revenue stream from that. So it's certainly a very useful tool and a good model for them. So
and I think
go ahead, Jake.
No, I was going to say here's something I know, because it was kind of interesting to see after the whole Anaran debacle. At least on my Twitter feed, a lot of people started flooding back to much love for many of the ASAs, I would say, that people had been dogging on for the months leading up to, like Smilecoin, Yieldly, some of the other big ones out there, maybe even DeFi and stuff like that, although it's had a really good launch so far. So what are you guys in any ASAs right now, or excited about buying any? Obviously, I'm not talking about staking. Are y'all looking at buying any ASAs right now, or are you pretty much just sitting on Algo and cash or USDC, whatever it may be, stable?
Currently, I am still holding the same tokens I've been holding and yield farming the same tokens I've been yield farming. The only ASA I hold outside of the stablecoin ASAs is Opulus, but it's a very small percentage of my portfolio at this point, maybe like 4%, 5%. I do really want the bank token, the AlgoFi token, when that comes out. I want the XBAC token when that comes out. Oh, I actually did lie. I did buy a small bit of the GoMint token, the AlgoMint token. What else? Yeah, I think that's really it, dude. Honestly, I'm really just trying to build the bags that I currently have, so I don't have my eyes on too much. How about you, Will?
I just got back into Opulus. I did hop out before it like fully ran down. But I'm in Opulus. I bought some Opulus, and now I'm slowly building my position. And I feel like since Opulus did its spike up to whatever 7, drop down to 30 cents and whatnot, I think it's now stabilized and it has a lot of upside potential. And David Crypto for Change did a nice feature with Lee Parsons and was it Fernando?
Yeah, Fernando Cruz.
So I like Fernando. So I think that right there helps answer the questions I was looking for, like when royalties, when Lil Pump, and as someone in the comments says, Opulus has no utility. That question was kind of answered. There will be more utility. So Opulus is the only other token I'm in right now other than Algorand.
Right. And I think, a lot of people just kind of, we can talk about Opulus for a little bit. I'm still bullish on it. I've not sold any of mine that I bought, initially. Although obviously hindsight, maybe, definitely should have sold at the top and bought back in at the bottom, but I didn't. And I'm fine with that because ultimately I see, and even watching a little bit of the interview he had with the newest SNFT artist, Ardans, that they're dropping, the potential of what can come from something like Opulus. And I don't see Opulus being a rug or being something that has bad actors in the behind the scenes, even with the no utility. Because I know a lot of people say, well, what's the difference from it and Anaran? It's all hype. It's all just, there's no substance, no product. You're just holding this Opulus token. It's like, I get that. But if you go back and you watch that interview, one of the things that I was super excited to hear from Lee and Fernando was the partnership with Securitize. Yes. Like, they're trying their hardest, guys, to go out here and make a product that is going to stand the test of time. It's not going to, get kickstarted and launched and then get hammered by the SEC or whatever powers that want to come try to attack it. And I know there's people who don't like the artists that they're using, or obviously the Lil Pump song, a lot of people hated it, said it sucked. But guess what? It's still got hell a lot of streams. It's
making us money, man. So
yeah, and so I'm excited to see how they can kind of bring together this NFT marketplace with the SNFT marketplace. Obviously excited to see what the royalties look like and the earnings for the early investors in Lil Pump, Big Zoo, and obviously now the Ardans. So there's definitely a lot of excitement. But at the end of 2022, if they can do what they said in the interview, which is by the end of April, I believe, is to have the D-app launched, have the project up and running, at least where you could probably stake your Opulus on their platform, probably be able to, and probably the people who are staking would have the first dibs on investing in future SNFTs because they still got other ones coming out with Tyga, Super Duper Kyle, stuff like that. If they can do that, and then by the end of the year, right, if they can have that SNFT marketplace live with Securitize and a platform where the early investors, after they wait that 12-month period, can actually trade those, guys, that Opulus will be a top 100 crypto, which yes. you can go look right now. If you put market cap up and you put Opulus at the, in the top 100, that's huge price appreciation from where it's at right now.
Like, David, what I liked as well is what you talked about with the SEC,
yeah,
Security and Exchange Commission. Like, I think what they're doing, I made a comment on your video, but that is very smart to take their time, get with Securitize or Scrutinize or whatever that's called, but to get with these people and do the paperwork right. They're doing the correct business that we need done for somebody that we're investing our money into. And long as the dashboard shows me how much money I made, I'm going to stay bullish with Little Pump song, with all the SNFTs, because that's what we're here for, is to make passive income and to build wealth. And I think Opulus is the best play for that in terms of a lot of other projects out right now.
Right. Yeah, I think as well, I know JT loves Lofty. I love Lofty. I know C-Will, you're into Lofty AI. But just imagine, give it a year, 2 years, 3 years, and every, quarter and every day for stuff like Lofty, you're earning royalties on properties that you're invested in and appreciation. You're earning royalties on songs that you're invested in and appreciation of the SNFT possibly just going up. Then you have new stuff that's coming out to hopefully unlock liquidity in and pay royalties out for just artist NFTs. So there's gonna be a lot of ability for people to earn passive income, using the things in the Algorand ecosystem. The hard part is finding out which ones are going to be legit, which ones are going to stand the test of time over the next 5 years, and which ones are going to fall away, rug, whatever it may be.
My last comment on Opulus, what we talked about with the Aniran. Lee Parsons, Fernando is visible, right? They just did somebody left a comment. He's with his artists also that they're partnering with, Visible. He tweeting on Twitter every day. He's arguing with people. Like, we know this is a real person. Like we can go to Diddle Music and research Lee Parsons. I know where he lives in Brazil. No, I don't know.
I was about to say he is in Brazil, so if he needs to ghost, I mean,
Yeah, so he's in London too. We know who his brother is. So like, he's revealing himself, and that gives me confidence. And
I mean, it's also you have people like David Garcia, Borderless Capital, that are obviously talking with him, and Algorand. Like, I definitely don't see what a lot of people see as far as worries when it comes to something like Opulus. I see the utility debate, and I'm sure JT might say something about that, but it's, they are being a first mover in something that's never been done. They're creating and like I think it was Lee or maybe Fernando, but they're creating forget the words they use, but pretty much, this SNFT marketplace where you can actually trade, securities to music.
Yep.
Peer-to-peer.
It's a fantastic project, and it says, even though I have my criticisms and have been vocal about them, there's a reason I still hold some Opulus. And I've always said, one of my first videos about it was very positive about Opulus, that back in like September or October or something like that. And I agree with everything you've said, but I also agree with some of the criticisms that are out there because, as you said, you compared it to Lofty AI, which I absolutely love. And I think Opulus will be just as great, if not even more amazing, because, I mean, let's just face it, music is just more hype. There's like, it's more attractive. Like home buying is very boring for people, but I think they could be equally as great projects in their own realms. But as you mentioned, Lofty AI is selling these real estate NFTs, and they don't have a token. They've never used a token, and it's a very successful business model. And Opulus has a very similar business model, but with art NFTs and music NFTs as opposed to real estate NFTs. So I'm just really hoping that a strong use case for the token comes up, because the project itself could be very successful with or without a token. So that is my, it's nothing against Opulus itself, because I do think the business structure will likely be very successful, but that doesn't necessarily mean there will be a use case or a strong market demand for a token without a strong use case. So I do hope they deliver on that end. I haven't caught your video yet, so I will watch that. But that's really my only comment.
Yeah, and I think, and here is also the crux of the matter. You're 100% true. They and I'm sure, like, if I was someone like Lee who is like, knew how the music industry works, had those connections, for sure you're able to promise, or not promise, but you're able to hype up a token and make some money. Obviously, I don't know how, what money he possibly could have made from the sale. I don't know what tokens he had, or, what early investors maybe got to dump. I mean, I know that there were some big names thrown around that invested early in Opulus, like, BitBoy Crypto, Mr. Beast, KSI, just to name a few of the names I had heard. So, like, obviously, there was a lot of hype. But and like I said, in my interview, he says, he goes over the utility of the Opulus token. And if they make it to where when their platform launches that you cannot buy the SNFTs without buying the Opulus token, that alone right there will drive the price of Opulus through the roof. I mean, I'm talking to you like it will be like an Axie Infinity. Like, I guarantee you, if they do that. Now,
I absolutely agree. I do agree. One of the things that's kind of similar to it, sorry to interrupt, is kind of how Lofty just integrated AlgoFi's stablecoin. So we know, I mean, because Lofty is a SEC registered company, they're very well regulated as well, and they got the green light to be able to sell these, securitized NFTs for an ASA. So that does give me hope that that integration will happen with Opulus soon. I still would maintain my criticism that maybe they should have waited to launch their token. But all things equal, I do think Opulus is a fantastic project, and there's a reason I still hold some tokens. So,
I agree with that 100%. And the business model behind it is amazing, but we do need token utility. And I'm riding with Lee on this one, though. I think he's going to deliver, because it was good to see Fernando.
Yeah, no, it was actually good. I think we were supposed to have Mark on there, their new guy, the CTO, but I don't think he could make it on the interview. So, the addition to him seems very good as far as the D-app and the marketplace and all that stuff getting built out. Seems like this guy, at least from the way they were talking a little bit before the interview and during it, that he's kind of becoming a key peg in solving some of those issues maybe that they were having before.
I would say this, in comparing Opulus to Yieldly, right? as we can kind of say they were the first projects. Opulus is, I'm not gonna say Yuli's dead, but Opulus is still around. We still have confidence in the overall Opulus infrastructure. Maybe not the token yet, but in infrastructure. Yuli's confidence, it seemed like it's gone in the community. What do y'all think about that?
We could talk. Yeah, I was planning on getting a video out possibly in the coming week to talk, a little bit about Yieldly's up. I guess that's an updated roadmap that they posted. I don't really know. I still don't own any Yieldly. It was kind of bad because I could have sold my Antirand profits and bought. If I'd have bought all Yieldly, I'd almost had my Yieldly bag that I had back when I sold. So, I definitely don't think Yieldly's going to go away. Because and I said this, I don't know if it was with you guys live or if it was just in one of my own videos that I did talking Yieldly, but think Algorand moons, right? The flood of people who have no idea Algorand even exists because they're just focused on whatever's pumping ApeCoin, whatever's Coinbase is telling them to buy. They start to find out about Algorand, then they start to hear about Yieldly. They're going to have no idea about any of the stuff that reasons why we don't like Yieldly. They're just going to see Yieldly. They're going to see whatever at that stage of time Yieldly has out. And as long as their D-app and their marketplace is working, especially with the esports, if they have that whole thing going, you're going to have a whole new group of investors that will flood money into it and possibly love what's going on. So as far as I'm concerned, I do think Yieldly will make a comeback, and I think you could see it at all-time highs. It may take a while for some of the OG people to get back behind them. But, I mean, let's be honest. If Yieldly opens up something on their app and it's cool and the price starts pumping, everybody's going to, I don't know. I feel like it could all go to the wayside, that the things that people were upset about before maybe. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I could mostly agree with that too, especially the aspect of a flood of new money coming in that just doesn't know what some of us may know yet, and just see like, oh, cool, a place I can stake for high APR, and just dive right in. I can totally see that. Me personally, I don't really have too much of an interest in jumping back over at Yieldly. I've just been really steady away yield farming on AlgoFi for, in my opinion, more hard assets, because on Yieldly you can yield farm for more Yieldly or whatever other ASA is there, but there aren't many ASAs on there that I like, especially with a lot of the pools that ended. So the yield farming is really, to me at least right now, kind of pointless. So I certainly appreciate yield farming on AlgoFi because you're getting Algorand, you're getting Stable, you're getting Opulus tokens. You're getting more hard assets that I believe will appreciate over the long run and aren't just like giant speculative bets.
Yeah, no, I agree there, especially like that is, and that's why I feel like you've seen Yieldly's TVL drop so far down is because and AlgoFi's rise, because AlgoFi, I feel like they don't just throw out partnerships and they don't just throw out tokens that you can stake and stuff just because like, oh, this is going to, bring people in money. They actually think like, is this something that we want to be, tied to? Is this a project we want to work with? And so I do think there's a maturity that AlgoFi has that maybe Yieldly doesn't. And maybe with the new devs that Yieldly's hired and the new, fresh push on, their roadmap or whatever it is they post. I know it was a letter from Seb, but we've seen those before and we kind of know what happens there. But even to tie it in, like Ethereum, look at that, for example. Like I have no idea what happened and why everybody got so mad when ETH forked, and now you have ETH Classic and you have Ethereum 2.0 or 1.0 going on to 2.0 or whatever it is. Like,
oh, you don't know about that? That's like
no. I just wasn't in DeFi. I wasn't in crypto at that point. So like that's what I'm talking about with the new money. Like think of how many people probably are buying Ethereum and they have no idea what's happened in the East past. So that's what I think can happen in a lot of things for Algorand. And so if you're holding ASAs or even Algo and it's down and you're down 50, 60%, like just know that there's many, many people out here who they have no idea what Algorand is. Nonetheless, it's ASAs. And there's people with a lot of money that don't know, that will, I think, flood, their capital into this ecosystem once we get noticed, which it could happen very soon.
A Smile Coin comeback? That what you're saying?
I will say, have y'all done any research? I don't know what the SDK, like I know that that's the big thing they've been talking about. Have y'all done any research on what that means for them or that entails?
After it tanked, I made some videos to tell people about what happened, and I moved on.
Okay. Yeah. Apparently they have some pretty big news that's dropping with some SDK rollout or something that's going on that's kind of been pumping the price back up. But at the end of the day, I feel like you just look at the team. Like I get more excited now about the teams than I do necessarily the project. And that's what's still kept me out of Yieldly, because I just don't really know how much I like Seb, trust Seb to really, I don't know. I don't know. And even somewhat of Opulus. Like I love Lee, but there are some times where I'm like,
I was just tell him stop tweeting.
Well, yeah. Right. But I do love that he cares about his project. He cares about what he's building, and he's going to defend it. So, it's kind of like but I will say this.
Although sometimes it's not even shit talk, though, I got to say. I mean, he'll harp on things that aren't too shit talky, but that's okay. But, your point is well taken, though. It's a really interesting because, like, new people coming into the space aren't going to know all of the things that we know about these projects. And when you say that you didn't even know why Ethereum and Ethereum Classic ended up splitting, I mean, that just reaffirms that, because that is a very large piece of crypto news that newcomers aren't aware, like yourself. I mean, obviously you're not too new now, but at the time you weren't in. So like, yeah, that is really interesting. If you want to know the story, I can give you a quick rundown. It is actually really interesting. But yeah, you do make a really great point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm always down to hear new news, and I've been so engrossed in Algorand, like I just don't have the time to study all these other ecosystems. I mean, I watched the London fork for ETH happen, and I kind of was somewhat up to date on all that, mainly because I was a part of Stockmo's Discord, and he's obviously a really big Ethereum bull, so that was where I got my Ethereum information. But even Ryan McDonald,
break it down.
So go ahead.
So Ethereum Classic is actually the original Ethereum chain, and a lot of people don't know that, which is very, very interesting. So
I did know that.
So way back whenever the split happened, a couple months beforehand, there was a huge Ethereum hack. It was one of the biggest hacks in the space. It might have even been the biggest hack at the time, and a lot of Ethereum was stolen, I believe, out of like the Ethereum DAO or Treasury or whatever, wherever it was stolen from. It was a lot of Ethereum. So the debate was essentially to almost like restart or fork the blockchain. So on one fork that hack never happened, and on the other fork it did. Hence Ethereum Classic. And the debate was essentially between the crowd that wanted to do that and the other crowd that said no, these blockchains are supposed to be immutable, and code is law, and that's where the fork came from. So the code is law, blockchain is immutable crowd, they split into Ethereum Classic, where Ethereum forked into essentially a new chain where that hack never happened.
Yeah.
Also, remember Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, Bitcoin Cash, also the same thing. The original Bitcoin won, but they did fork into Satoshi Vision, which was supposed to be the original Bitcoin, which is not, and then Bitcoin Cash, which is supposed to be the peer-to-peer transfer version of Bitcoin.
Yeah. For the BSV is like they market themselves as the original Bitcoin, but it's certainly not. But Ethereum Classic is actually original is such an interesting word, but it is the chain that has the record of that hack. It has the entire record, and it didn't split and decide to pretend like that hack didn't happen.
So let me ask.
Make sure y'all go real quick. Watch Cryptopia. I think it's on Hulu and Netflix, but it's a fire documentary about crypto, and you hear about Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin in there, and it gives you the foundational piece of crypto.
Nice. So let me ask you this then: with obviously the past few years leading up to a lot of people staking for ETH 2.0. Do you guys think there's a chance that there's another crazy fork where people want to, there's a divide, or do you think everybody's just going to get on with proof of stake, like they're done with the old, ready for the new?
I think they already approved it, so it's going to happen. It's just when. Because I got some Ethereum 1.0 locked on Coinbase, ready for 2.0, but whenever it becomes available, that's when we'll all be liquid. I don't think there's a new token. I think more of a name change, and proof of stake to proof of work, proof of work to proof of stake doesn't make it a fork.
Yeah, no, it's weird because it also seems like they're going to be running almost like parallel chains for a little bit of time, where some part of it is still proof of work. Uh, it honestly, dude, the merge, it just seems so complicated that
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like a fork, but it does seem like a lot can go wrong. So
Yeah.
And you
I don't
need,
know.
I
I
think,
don't know.
Is this gonna be secretly where where Ethereum crashes and Algorand rises from the flames to take its spot right under Bitcoin?
I think it either goes amazingly right or amazingly wrong. Like I really do think it's like one or the other. There's no middle ground for it, honestly. I think it's either going to be, the solution that they were actually talking about, or it's going to like, the complication is going to overcomplicate things. The thing is with this space is the more complex you make things, the harder it becomes to operate these things. So that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why Algorand is so amazing, because it's so simple.
Yeah.
Um, Adding more and
Especially
more.
now with Reach
Exactly,
with
and
that
adding more and
rolling.
more layers of complexity like this merge, it could go really wrong. So, uh, I have my I'm hesitant to even have any position in Ethereum. I know a lot of us don't even like Ethereum, but I hold a little bit of Bitcoin. I do not hold any Ethereum. Oh, I will say, because now that I remember, we did talk about ASAs that I own. I do technically own DFly, but I still haven't got my tokens from pre-sale, so I kind of forget that I own them because I never get to look at them.
Is it gonna rug? No, I'm kidding. Is this gonna be the next biggest rug right before
I certainly don't think a rug is in play. I mean, especially as I said, because there's been so much incentive from launch to provide liquidity. So there's just so much more liquidity providers than just that one source.
Yeah.
That being said, there certainly could be some sell pressure when those tokens are unlocked. I mean, the pre-salers are up money, so I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I'm sure some of them would like to take profit. I mean, I know myself personally, I want a yield farm. There's two different yield farms right now on AlgoFi. There's a liquidity pool one, and then just a straight staking one. So I'm kind of waiting to be able to build that bag up a little bit more, because as you mentioned earlier, once Algorand pops, I feel like all of the strong ASAs are also going to pop. And when you look at DeFi, its market cap is like $3 or $4 million. Its fully
Yeah.
diluted market cap is like 10 to 12 million. Like that is nothing in the space of like hundreds of millions,
Oh
a
yeah.
couple billions of dollars. So like, I don't know. I personally am one of the pre-sellers that doesn't plan on selling their tokens, but I can't say for certain that there isn't going to be some sell pressure, because plenty of people are up on their tokens.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so
I would
I do
definitely expect some sell pressure, but it just we'll see if there's enough buying pressure to eat that up, or if it's really just gonna scare people and make everybody panic sell if they start to see a dive.
Yeah, I think it'll be on
It
par
could be.
with.
I will say this: that day, just like you kind of made some money off that Weblin fiasco, where Weblin tanked, and then obviously it rebounded really quick. The day that those tokens are launched, obviously if you follow it and it does tank, say 20, 30, 40%, whatever it is, because it's a solid project, that could be a really smart option to buy in
Yep.
and trade it, swing trade it, day trade it, whatever it may be. Obviously not financial advice, but
no financial
could
advice.
be.
You're not a financial advisor? Oh
Say
man,
again?
you're not a financial advisor. I don't know what we're.
No,
I don't know what we're doing here.
it's kind of sad because I was in banking and finance for 6-7 years. So if people came into my office, obviously I talked to them about banking and finance and everything. But no, I can't legally give that advice.
Yeah, David was like, "Put your money here. We'll give you 0.001."
Right. We're gonna give you nothing. I will say it was a credit union, so it's way better than banks. So
Yeah, we're gonna rehypothecate the money. We're gonna lend it out like 6 times. Here's your 0.05% interest rate. Good luck.
Hey, so I know y'all don't talk much NFTs, but I do. So I want to make a little jump. They got a platform called Landia. Have y'all heard of it?
Yeah, the
NFT?
lending platform, correct?
Yeah. So how do y'all feel about borrowing and lending NFTs? If y'all in the comments, leave a comment about how y'all feel about borrowing and lending NFTs.
I think it's. Oh, go ahead, David.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I don't own many NFTs. I do own, obviously, I own properties with Lofty. That's probably the most NFTs I have, and then I do have like 3 or 4 from Algo House, which is an artist. I won that one from you for Alchemon. I still got it. I didn't sell it, and so there's definitely artwork that I love, and I honestly want to support more of the Algorand ecosystem, but at the end of the day, I'm not someone who's super wealthy. I don't have, thousands upon thousands of dollars to buy an Algoana or, some of these other projects that I think could be like a Bored Ape type deal one day, and as Algorand's ecosystem grows, and there could be tons of utility and reasons to hold these things. But for me as an investor, I have to look at like, where is my money best going to, grow for the long term and earn me passive income? And, our NFTs, like I said, I love it. And obviously if Algorand moons and I've got tons of money, for sure, I'm going to, I will definitely support the ecosystem more with helping those artists and buying them as NFTs, especially ones where you could stake them and earn some form of passive income or borrow, lend, and stuff like that.
I would say with Alchemon, the one you won, they do pay you out if you have the stake flag. So make sure you join their Discord, but they pay out every Saturday. Every Saturday, I've been getting paid since I've had my Alchemon. So that's something to put out there. That's why I do like it, part of it. And we talking about sales between them and Algorand. Yes, they're, I would say, number one. But Alchemon has a more of an easier entry price. And the video game, I think, dropped today.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I mean, when I started buying the Algo House NFTs, I'm kind of surprised that his artwork and his series haven't really caught on as much as some of the other ones maybe in the space. Just because, like, I mean, he's got Silvio Macaulay's profile picture. Like, Silvio's bought, some. Obviously, a lot of the other CEO and COO, like Steve Kokinos and, Sean Ford. And there's been tons of people who've actually bought his artwork. So obviously, I hold those for the hope that, his series turns into something, but it gets expensive. That's the whole thing. It's kind of like with when I found Decentraland and when I found Sandbox and all these other, they're cool, super cool ideas, and I like it. But unless you were early on Decentraland and you bought tons of it back in the day, it's just so expensive. Like, you get priced out quick. And that's the thing with NFTs. Like, unless you're early to these things, which obviously poses a lot of risk because you don't know which NFT artists are legit, which ones are going to rug you. That's the whole point of where you almost got to dedicate your time just to study and really be in that scene.
Yeah, you gotta really agree and be in the ecosystem.
Yeah,
but I support NFTs. Like, I'll get some of the bigger ones I'll do podcasts with and things of that nature. But some of the smaller ones I've been doing like NFT spotlights to help people kind of just put it out. Because I see, for me, NFTs is going to be one of the main reasons people are in crypto, right?
You think so?
Yes, I would say half the market is going to be because of NFTs. Because for one, NFT, that name might change, but it's not fully defined yet. How we talked about Lofty, we talked about art NFTs, so as it gets defined more over time, some people are going to come into NFTs for different reasons, which means we need crypto to do the NFT. So that's how I'm seeing NFTs and why I love to continue to support it and be educated with NFTs.
Yeah, I'll just say this about NFTs and then we can wrap it up. I know the foundation is actually doing that Twitter space with AlgoFi right now as we speak. They just launched it. So I'm going to jump over there and just listen to that too. But I will say, I mean, for my investment thesis, I'm not too big on NFTs, but when it comes to community building and artists being able to get the spotlight that they weren't able to get before, it's done a lot of great to help artists. It helps the community build. It helps the ecosystem itself. Of course, there are a lot of rugs, but there are a lot of rugs with regular tokens as well. And just to add to a point on Alandia, which is that NFT lending and borrowing place, I think it's a great idea. I don't know how well it'll work because there are many NFTs that are pretty illiquid. So like, it does look like you need to have somebody on the other side of that trade to want to borrow that in order to access the money. So I could see how, currently you might actually be waiting a little bit to be able to access that money until somebody comes and decides to actually.
Like the bigger ones are going to benefit the most, like Algoana, the Flemish Giants, and it's not to say that's bad, but those are going to, the people who bought into those early on are going to be the people who are rewarded, long term, just like, ASAs on Algorand, the solid ones are going to be the ones who benefit long term.
Of course. Well, I mean, why don't we wrap it up here? And anyone listening, I appreciate you all for listening. And go subscribe to C-Will's channel. It's the Passive Income Network. Go subscribe to David's channel if you aren't already, the Crypto for Change channel. And if you're not subscribed to me yet, subscribe right now. Click the like button, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yep. See you guys. Thanks for joining.